3 minutes just staring at the screen, not knowing I was already live. But anyway, welcome to today's live, day one of our 3-day marketing clinic. And if you're joining us live, make sure you actually post in the comments. Just comment the word live so I know who's here and watching, so that I can make sure that I actually answer your questions on this live. Hi, Dan. Hello. Okay. Michaela as well. And if you are watching this, whether it's the live or replay, make sure you post us on Instagram, tag me at HannahChan921 so that I can repost you and give you a shout out. So instead of me doing a 5-minute intro on why we're doing this, what I'm gonna do is get straight down into it. So, first of all, let me share my screen. Okay, I'm not a tech pro, but view present. Okay. I'm not gonna read this out to you because this is what we're doing basically today. Now, kind of like I said in the events, day one today, basically we're gonna cover 3 main things. All right, the first is the biggest mistakes that coaches make when trying to start online specific to fitness. The second thing that we're gonna go through is the best business model to get to 10K a month. All right. And then the third thing that we're gonna go through is the first few steps that you need to take if you want to start positioning yourself as an authority online, even though you might not have any testimonials or loads of followers or even loads of experience. And I'm going to share with you guys the things to never post on Facebook, which I see all the time and it makes us all cringe a bit, if you actually want to be able to land high paying clients. Okay. So before we get into the actual exciting stuff, I'm just going to run you guys through some of the biggest mistakes that a lot of coaches make when they start a business. So don't do these things. First is building a website. And the reason why a website is actually one of the biggest wastes of time is because you want to think about a website like a tool in isolation and not a strategy to get clients. So for example, say your goal was to lose 10 pounds. A website is the equivalent to just downloading MyFitnessPal. Like it's a thing, it's a thing in isolation. It's not the actual tool that's going to generate results, right? Which you need leads and you need sales, right? And a website is just that, like it's not going to do anything, okay? Second thing that you don't want to do, which I know a lot of people have made the mistake of doing, is running a bunch of Facebook ads when you don't even have a high ticket offer that you've sold organically. So there are 2 reasons why you don't want to fall into the trap of doing Facebook ads too early. First reason is if you have an offer that is, say, 200 pounds, well, it might even take you 150 pounds to acquire a client. So imagine if the cost of you getting the client is 150 pounds and your product is only 200 pounds, you're only netting a 50 pound profit. And a 50 pound profit is what you get in your pocket, maybe even less because you have to pay for trainerize and taxes. And it's not scalable, nor do you actually end up getting paid what you want to get paid. Second reason is even if you do already have a high ticket offer in your head, if you haven't gotten clients organically, what that means is that your copy and your messaging hasn't been validated. And so you end up just putting advertising dollars behind something which you don't have proof of concept of. So you want to think of Facebook ads like steroids. They only amplify what's already working organically. Okay. So third mistake here is trying to build a business off low cost, high volume subscription models. So if you're currently doing anything like a membership site, or you're trying to sell info products or ebooks or cheap things, or your coaching is like, £100 a month recurring, then that's not really going to work. And fair enough, it works for influencers because fitness influencers have a very, very large following. So if you've got 1 million followers, then you could probably sell 100 or 1,000 people. But most of you guys don't have 1 million followers, right? You might have 1,000, maybe 5,000, 10,000. So if we take that 1% conversion rate, you might even just make like 5 sales at $50, which isn't sustainable. Okay. So the fourth thing here is focusing on funnels and landing pages. And Russell Brunson does such a good job of this because he basically sells you on the idea of how ClickFunnels is the one and only way to build a business. But once again, this is more of just a tool in isolation and not an actual strategy over the long term in terms of generating leads. So even if you have a funnel, right? It's like you probably don't know copy, you don't know how to generate leads, you don't know how to run Facebook ads, you don't know how to sell. So just having a landing page or a sales page there isn't going to basically do much for those who are just starting their businesses. Final thing here is focusing on the back-end systems of your business. So if you're focusing on creating, logos, if you're hiring a lawyer to, draft your contract, if you're focusing on automations and perfecting your program when you don't even have any clients, then that's definitely backwards. So what you do want to focus on instead. All right. The best way to get to 10K a month organically without a bunch of, needy marketing, which we're going to go through, is what we're going to go through here, basically. So what is needy marketing? And I made this. So this is why, this is the theme of these 3 days. Lately, what I see a lot of the time, both in the fitness business mentoring space and within people who talk to us, is that there are a bunch of lead generation tactics which are less and less effective because they just get regurgitated. So the first one that's so common is, and some of you guys might even have done this too, is just awful cold outreach. So using a scripted, basically using a script in terms of how to do outreach. And what happens is people either ghost you or they call you out because they know what you're doing. Second is posting, fake value bombs in Facebook groups, trying to give advice, or posting things like, hey guys, do you need more help with diet or exercise in Facebook groups, just to find that every single person in the Facebook group already knows what you're doing. So they end up basically roasting you and trolling you in the Facebook group. And third thing here is posting, online coaching available, or like 3 spots available, DM me for coaching. And 9 out of 10 times, you might get maybe 1 or 2 responses, and we'll go through why this is wrong and what you need to do instead. But really these, top 2 things are things that I've been seeing more and more as the industry basically progresses. And the reason why they no longer work is because more of your competitors are doing it. So what that means is if you and 10 other coaches who all hire the same business coaches or masterminds are using the same tactics, going after the same people, then of course, the market's going to know what you're up to. So I'm going to go through this in a second, but beforehand, let me just quickly check the comments here. Trisha's live, Julia's live. Amazing. We've got a grand total of 4 people who are going to make a crap load of money. Okay. Everyone else is just going to do the replay. So how do I go back to presenting this? Okay. So here's the best way to actually, here's the best business model to get to 10K a month. And some of you guys will probably already know this. But instead of having a bunch of different offers, you want to have one high ticket offer. All right. So one 4-figure offer. And in this space, high ticket is typically defined as $1,500 or pounds over a 90-day period. So that might be $500 per month, and it's all paid up front. So now that you have one offer that is worth this price point, the second thing here is you need to actually generate as much interest as possible through your organic, through your branding, through your positioning, through your content, or launch even, right? So that you can have as many messenger conversations going as possible and as much interest for people to work with you. And then what you want to do is you want to have people fill out an application to get on a phone call or a consult with you. And then what happens is that you get people on a call, you basically find out more about the situation and see if you can help them. And if it's a good fit, then will you actually present your offer? So forget about website, forget about funnels, forget about hiring a lawyer to do up your contract and starting an LLC. This is what you need to focus on. So the more interest you have, the more calls you have, the more clients you have. Now, here's where it actually starts to go, well, wrong. Kind of like we covered earlier, most people focus too much on cold messaging when it comes to generating phone calls. Once again, because all your competitors are doing it, the people who you're trying to sell already know what you're up to. So the second you slide in their DMs, their guard is up and it's like they don't even want to talk to you. Not to mention, 9 out of 10 times, most people don't even really know how to do outbound in the right way where you don't come across as, needy or desperate. So instead of focusing on cold messaging, there are actually a lot of other ways to generate leads inbound that you can tap into that your market is not yet aware of. Direct response copywriting, positioning, which we're going to go through later on, and ultimately having a clear content strategy so that you can build authority. So I know up to this point, like some of you guys watching this might already know everything, but trust me, guys, I'm going to get to the good stuff in a bit. But here's the overall philosophy when it comes to the best way to build a 10K a month fitness business. The stronger your organic, okay, so the stronger your content is, your direct response copywriting skill, your personal branding, the more interactions you're going to have in Messenger and the more people are going to be receptive to you. So say, for example, if your favorite fitness influencer reached out to you on Messenger or like in Instagram DMs, 9 out of 10 of you guys are probably going to respond to them and actually engage in the conversation, right? Because they have great positioning as an influencer. You know them, you like them, they have authority. Now, say, for example, some random person you've never heard of who's got, 3 pictures of themselves from 2007 reached out to you. You probably would ignore them or assume that they're just selling you or that they're a bit weird because they don't have that positioning. So too many people so far are focusing on high volume outbound messaging to book calls when really they should be focused on their organic positioning and their personal branding. Because that means that if you have this dialed in, then you can actually get more messenger conversations going and convert more people. So the more interactions you have in Messenger with your followers, the more calls you're going to be able to book. And then the more calls you book, the more offers you can make, right? And if you make more offers, then you're going to make more sales. So a large part of this is opportunity volume, and everything should be focused on generating leads and closing sales. Those are the only things that you really need to focus on if you're at the beginning stage of your business. So notice how none of those things I just mentioned include how to build a funnel or automations or, building an email list and, random shiny tactics in isolation, which don't actually get you closer to your goals. So what I'm going to do for the rest of today's training is to actually go through things to not do if you want to maintain authority in the marketplace and if you want to start to position yourself the right way. And at the end of this training, I'm also going to give you guys some homework. All right. So homework in terms of exactly what you can start doing today in order to take the first step. So today we're going to start to talk about how to position yourself as the highly sought after authority, the in-demand coach. And then tomorrow, and we're also going to talk about today the things to not do and the things to avoid. And tomorrow, we're basically going to dive deeper into how to write content, how to write copy. I'm going to show you guys my best pieces that have generated us, like over 100K in revenue. I'm going to basically give that all to you guys. But for today, I'm going to show you guys the mistakes and what not to do, as well as some homework. And I promise you guys, no one else is talking about this. So definitely, take out your pen and paper and have your coffee ready or whatever it is that everyone drinks. This is my drink. Okay, things to never post if you want some level of authority and positioning and you want to be perceived as the high in demand, the high ticket coach. And if you look at enough profiles amongst fitness coaches, what you'll find is that you can always tell someone who's already selling high ticket versus someone who's just desperate for clients. All right. So the best way to look at it is to almost think of it like Prada versus Primark. You want to make sure you're positioning yourself the right way so that it attracts the right people and repels the cheap clients. So first thing to never do is to complain. What I mean by that is no one wants to be around someone who's negative all the time and just complaining about your life. And you want to remember that if you are going to monetize your Facebook and Instagram and get clients off it, then complaining is the opposite of giving value, right? If you want the respect of your marketplace, then you have to earn it. And complaining about how bad your day was and, airing your dirty laundry on social media and trash talking your ex-boyfriend or ex-girlfriend by posting, passive aggressive song lyrics isn't going to do the job. Nor is it going to, basically it's going to turn off the people who want to work with you, even though they might not realize it subconsciously. People don't want to be around someone who's just negative all the time and brings them down, right? So make sure you're not just complaining about your life on social media. There are certain things that you can do behind the scenes and save this for your friends or your family. Second thing that you don't want to do is ask people to vote for you. So I don't know if you guys have all seen those. Like sometimes it's like someone who's never spoken to you will just randomly send you a message. And it's like, you can tell it's a copy and paste message. And it's like, hey, would you mind voting for me for like 2040 Miss Bikini Fit? Like, it would mean the world to me. Like, don't do that. And the reason why is because like it's such a massive, ask, it's such a massive take from your audience. It almost implies some sense of entitlement and, self-grandiosity that people actually care enough to go out of their way to vote for you. So unless you can spin this into something where it's like you're taking a stand in certain values and that by voting for you, they're also voting to take a stand for a common shared value, don't ask people to vote for you, because 9 out of 10 times, people would only really do it out of courtesy, not because they actually care. And it's just, it's a take from your audience, which doesn't benefit them at all and only benefits you. And if you're going to start to build a brand on Facebook and Instagram, then you have to keep in mind that people only want to follow you for what's in it for them. Like, people care about what's in it for them to follow you more than what you get out of it. Which is why the best people or influencers or people that you're addicted to watching will be people who have a good mixture of entertainment and educational value. Okay. So third thing here to never do is get people to support you or ask people to buy from you because you're in a difficult financial situation. So, and I've seen these, and you don't want, especially if you're going to be like positioning yourself as someone who's high value and premium and exclusive, which is one of the key psychological things that makes people actually want to buy high ticket, is the perceived exclusivity. Then what you don't want is, you don't want to ask people to buy from you just because you're in a tough financial spot. And an example of this would be making a post of something along the lines of, I'm in a really bad spot financially. So if you're in need of personal training sessions, then this month I'm going to offer them at a discounted rate. Or saying things like, it's a shame the coronavirus has messed up the personal training industry, but because I'm so passionate about what I do as a personal trainer, if you can support me by working with me, then I'll give you a discount. You don't want to do that because it's needy, it's desperate, and non-neediness is one of the biggest reasons why people would even be attracted to you. So this is so similar to dating. I'm sure you guys have come across maybe someone you're potentially interested in, but then next thing you know, they're being super needy. And even though technically they have potential, the fact that they're needy is an instant turnoff. And it's the exact same philosophy in business, is that you always want to maintain a level of non-neediness. Because the second your prospects sense that you're needy or you just want their money, then, well, basically they're not going to buy. Okay. So the fourth thing here is, posting threads like, oh, small business owners, please drop one link below of what you sell, no pitching. And I don't know how many of you guys have seen this, but this is super common. And let me just ask you, like, how often do you see someone who's at 7 figures or 6 figures or 8 figures doing stuff like this? Right? The only people who do stuff like this are people who are desperate for sales, and they're probably broke and they do some sort of MLM business, which is not what we're all about, right? So stay away from threads like this, because once again, you want to make sure you're maintaining non-neediness. Next thing here is crying online or talking about how depressed you are or how overwhelmed you are or how suicidal you are as a means to be vulnerable and connect with your audience. So here's how you want to look at it. People want to work with a leader, right? If people are working with you, especially if you're going to sell high ticket, people want to know that they're working with a leader who is emotionally stable. And crying online is not the same as vulnerability. It's really just seeking attention. So don't cry online as a means to connect with your audience. There are certain things that you have to do, that there are certain things that you should do behind the scenes to your friends and family or to your boyfriend or to whoever it is, that you don't want to do online. And crying is one of them, because it just doesn't convey stability as a leader and a coach. So similarly, asking people to, pray for you and support you is similar to the second point here and the third point here. Once again, it's an ask from your audience, which does not position yourself under the best light when it comes to positioning yourself as a leader. So the concepts that you want to understand is, you don't want to air your dirty laundry or your weaknesses online, because it's like, 1 week someone's crying and talking about how bad they feel or how overwhelmed they are, and then the next week they're like, buy from me, I'm gonna help you get leads. Like there's a discrepancy, right? And it doesn't sit right. So that's something to avoid as well. And the next one here is just posting things like, oh, drop your Instagram below, follow me, and I'll follow you back. Because what that shows is that you're more interested in building your Instagram followers and building your social media than you are actually helping people. And the only people who will actually follow you are people who following you because they want you to follow them back. Next thing here is posting low quality stock images. So we're going to talk more about this tomorrow, but you want to make sure that you are putting some level of thought behind your visual branding and the images that you use, because your images that you select are going to subconsciously convey a certain message to your audience. So I'll go into the psychology of this tomorrow, but make sure that you're not using stock images, because that actually triggers it triggers a response in which it's, like no one wants to look at a stock image, right? It's like the types of pictures that we used when we were in year 2 when we were making PowerPoint presentations. So definitely stay away from those. And then the final thing that you want to avoid is to post random links to articles about politics or the coronavirus, or post, a bunch of memes. And look, I'm not saying like you can't do this at all, but you want to always think about when someone who's never met you before is checking out your page, what's in it for them? Because 9 out of 10 times, your memes probably aren't as funny as you think they are. And no one probably is going to click the link or even want to read. They're just going to see your profile and look at it and judge it based on, oh, this is just like another person who, just posts random stuff on Facebook I don't really care about, versus, oh, this is someone who I should actually accept the friend request from, and someone who I should actually follow and pay attention to and dedicate my time to, because they have something of value that they can give me, right? And value comes in the form of entertainment or education. Okay, so here's what to post instead. What you want to do is you want to have a specific blend and type of content which allows you to achieve certain things. So in organic marketing, you should be posting different themes of content which all achieve different things and battle out different objections within your marketplace, and they all work in synergy together with each other. So when you have the content formula the correct way and you're uploading content in the correct ratios, then here is what your organic marketing can actually do for you. So it can help you build authority within your marketplace and actually position yourself as the leader within your niche. Pre-handle objections about working with you so that by the time people reach out to you, they're kind of, already pre-sold, and allow you to give off the perception as being high in demand, even though you might not necessarily be yet. So kind of like related to number 1, but in human psychology, just purely with supply and demand, if you're able to position yourself as high in demand, or at least give off that impression, then just by default, people are going to want to work with you more and gravitate to you more. So they actually did this study once in psychology where they asked people to pick 2 types of cookies and which one they prefer. And even though they tasted the same, almost all the participants picked the brand that they thought other people were picking, and picked the brand that had less available, right? So this is actually a cognitive bias that humans have, is that the more we perceive something to be high in demand and more liked universally, the more we automatically want that thing too. And then of course, once you're able to write copy the right way, you're going to be able to differentiate yourself, even in saturated niches like fat loss, muscle gain, the look better niche. So more on this tomorrow. And what we're going to do tomorrow is we're actually going to go through in depth. I'll be breaking down exactly how I write content in terms of the copy. And then what I'm also going to do is to go through the different types of content that you want to be posting. All right. And the third thing that I'm going to do is show you guys exactly how to differentiate yourself in a saturated market. So if you're doing fat loss, basically if you're doing fat loss or anything to do with body transformation, I'm going to show you guys how to position yourself so that you don't sound like the same as everyone else doing fat loss. Now, let's just go through some questions here. Do you mean avoiding talking about struggles altogether? Yeah, Julia, really, really good question. So here's the main difference. When I say you don't necessarily want to, air your dirty laundry online, is that you don't want to complain online and use social media as a way for you to vent. But absolutely talk about your struggles, because that's what's going to connect with your audience. And that's the right way to be vulnerable over crying to get people to, feel sorry for you and see how real you are, right? So a good rule of thumb for this is talk about your struggles after they've already happened, and then turn it into a lesson that you want to share with your audience, because that way you're empowering your audience and you're actually teaching them something valuable, and you're allowing them to connect with you and know you deeper as a person. So yeah, I'm absolutely not saying don't share your struggles or anything like that, but the way you position your struggles is going to be the make or break there. So Joel says, would posting articles on educational fitness? Yeah, so that's a really good question too. So I actually would not post articles on educational fitness articles. Here's why. Here's why. First of all, the likelihood of, as a personal trainer, you are always going to be more interested in exercise physiology, nutrition, nutritional sciences. You're always going to be more interested in that than your audience. So if you are working with busy corporate people who don't have a lot of time, then first, what is the likelihood that they're actually going to see your link and click on it and want to read it? Right? The second is, it doesn't do you any favors when it comes to you establishing yourself as credible within your market. So, for example, instead of you posting and just simply sharing an article, what you can do is you can commentate on the link or commentate on the article that you're going to share with your personal input. Because what that does is it positions you as an authority because you're commentating on the market trends. And it also demonstrates proof of expertise, basically proof that you know what you're talking about as a fitness coach. So yeah, I wouldn't just, I wouldn't post a link to an article without really saying anything or adding anything additional to it. Instead, if you wanted to share an article, I would also leverage that as an opportunity for you to show your proof of expertise. So give your 2 cents on the article or whatever it is, agree with it, disagree with it, things like that. Does email marketing, Melvin says, does email marketing will be helpful on Accomplish R10? No, so I would not focus on email marketing if you're not even at 10K a month. So under 10K, there are basically 2 to 3 main things that you need to actually focus on, and everything else is not going to be a good bang for buck. And a good way to think about business is you want to think about what is the highest leverage activity that you can be doing. So let me give you an example when it comes to fat loss, right? In fat loss, the highest leverage thing that you can do is to diet and focus on nutrition. Now, that's not to say that, focusing on finding the right gym clothes or elliptical versus running, it doesn't make a difference, but it makes 1% of difference in the overall result that you're getting. And it's the same here with email marketing. Email marketing is not the best use of your time if you're at less than 10K a month. Instead, what you want to do is after you have a 4-figure offer, you want to make sure that all your efforts are focused on generating leads. So generating phone calls and closing phone calls. So being good at sales over the phone. And so those two things are going to be your highest leverage activities in business if you actually want to get 4-figure clients. Not so much building an email list, because if you go down the route of building a list, then it's like, first you have to know how to even build your list, right? You have to know how to write copy or create a freebie so that people even want to opt in for your list and give you their email. And then you have to know how to write copy and do email marketing so that you can get people on the phone. And it's like, why take 3 additional steps when you could just cut through the cheese and get right to it, right? How often is posting too much or not enough? How do you utilize posts versus stories? Okay, so in terms of posting too much or not enough, one thing that I like to recommend my clients is you want to make sure you're posting at least 3 to 4 times a week when it comes to long form, value driven content. And a lot of that is also going to depend on where you're at in business. So of course, for this context, we're talking about less than 10K a month. The more frequently you post, the quicker you're going to be able to build that emotional and that relationship equity with your audience. So for example, if it takes someone 10 times to see a Facebook post before they even want to talk to you in Messenger, and you post once a day, then that's going to shorten the sales cycle to 10 days before they reach out to you in Messenger. Whereas if you only post once a week, then it's going to take you 10 weeks before they even want to be receptive to you in Messenger. So the balance there is going to be balancing your time. So of course, you don't have to post like twice a day, especially if it means you're going to sacrifice your sanity and your time. But also being consistent with your content when you are just starting out is something that is important and you have to commit to. So at least, I would say 4 longer form organic value posts. So questions here. Who else has questions? 37 comments. That's good. I'm not having a party with myself. Julia says, if you have to, I find I have exhausted my current friends or followers. How do I expand from there? So, Julia, the first thing is I would challenge, how do you know that you've exhausted your current friends and followers? And the reason why I say that is because if you've come from a program, which I know you have, if you've come from a program in general that teaches cold messaging as the main means to get clients, or they teach, just running a free challenge as the main means of getting clients, then you're only actually capturing 5% of people who respond to that tactic. And it doesn't mean that you've burned out your audience or that your audience is dead. It just means that you need to find other ways to capture that other 95% of your market that didn't respond to cold messaging or a free challenge, for example. So if I were to give you an analogy, imagine if you are Tesla. Okay, so imagine if you're the Tesla car dealership, and different people are probably going to want to buy a Tesla for different reasons. So if I want to buy a Tesla because it's cool, you want to buy a Tesla because it's fast, and the third person wants to buy a Tesla because it's safe. Those are all 3 different reasons. And so it's kind of like in marketing, when we're only using cold messaging only captures maybe a third, just to stick to the analogy, a third of people who respond to certain marketing. Just like if Tesla put out an ad appealing to people who want to drive it because it's safe, then it wouldn't catch my attention or the person who wants to drive it because it's fast. It would only capture the attention and resonate with the person who wants to drive the Tesla because it's safe. So the first thing there is, yeah, first thing there, Craig says, I have to view this today. Thank you. Okay. Yeah. First thing there, Julia, is, yeah, I would challenge whether your market even is fully, or your audience is even fully burnt out. Because likely it's not, and you can just definitely do a few things to recapture that. Now, say it is, I would go through the approach of just pruning your audience. So constantly deleting the ones who aren't relevant and then adding new people. And that is basically the easy, well, not easy, but that's the straightforward and non-sexy way to do it, is that you want to make sure that over time you're consistently basically refreshing your followers and your audience so that new eyeballs are on your stuff. Jessica says, what if your target market isn't really on your Facebook right now? Jessica, who is your target market? Because that's one of those things which I would also challenge. Like everyone's on Facebook. Christian women achieve lasting. Christian women are definitely on Facebook. You just have to think a bit more laterally in terms of, yeah, you just have to think more laterally in terms of what Facebook groups are they going to be in, right? So what Facebook groups might Christian women be in, where you would basically be able to find a dense population of those people. So Andrew says, if you have time, how do you position yourself to make you seem high in demand? Is it the wording of your copy? So positioning yourself high in demand is something that we're actually, that's a really good question. That's something that we're actually we're gonna go through in depth tomorrow. So I don't want to ruin it. I don't want to ruin it for you guys on this session. But in terms of how to overall position yourself so it's high in demand, you don't want to be, the overall philosophy is that you don't want to be needy. So when it comes to marketing your one-on-one services, what a lot of people do is they'll say something along the lines of online coaching available, DM me for coaching, or like DM me for info. And that's needy because people are naturally always going to assume the worst. And you have to remember that people don't want online coaching, they want the end result. So if you guys follow any, business coach who knows what they're doing, you're almost never really going to see a business coach say, business coaching available, DM me, or I'm now selling 30 coaching sessions for business coaching, right? And while business coaches are the ones who are already meant to know about marketing, yet we don't really see any business coach say, DM me for business coaching. And that's because as business coaches, they know that people are ultimately buying into the end result and not the thing, which is the online coaching. So I would not post things like, DM me for online coaching randomly. Instead, what you want to do is you want to talk about the end result that people are going to get, and then get people to casually hit you up if they want more details. And another thing too is even in the CTA, for example, sometimes a lot of people will post CTAs and they'll find that they don't get any response. And that's because the CTA is too strong. So if you're posting a CTA and it's something like, now, if you want to know what it looks like to work with me, then send me a message and let's work together. That's a very, very strong CTA, because what it implies is that once people reach out to you, you're already going to accept them as a client. And this, what you see quite a lot is you'll see a lot of coaches post something like, if you want to work with me one-on-one, then DM me and let's work together. Well, that's a sign of neediness and not being super high in demand. Is you're giving off the impression that you already work with anyone and everyone. Instead, what you want to do is flip the frame and make people climb through hoops to be considered, if they're even a good fit. So I know some of you guys have more questions. I can see them. However, we are out of time here. So basically what we are doing is I am giving you guys live one-on-one support from myself and my team. But my Facebook inbox is, well, let's just say it's not working properly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to post a link in this chat right now. And that link is going to take you to Messenger, where you can ask us questions and we can just help you basically personally in DM, as opposed to me answering the questions here. So I've just posted this link here, which leads to my chat bot. So if you send me a message there, then ask me a question there, and we can then go back and forth and answer your questions in Messenger. All right, so this is the end of today's training. Now for the homework, I'm also going to post a second link. All right, so the homework is the tangible things that you can start implementing today. So start doing that today, and tomorrow I will see you guys here at the same time at 2:30 UK, 9:30 Eastern, and we're going to go through a breakdown of how I write copy and how my clients write copy that allows them to pull in 10K months. Okay, so I'll see you guys there, and Joy, yeah, I will see you guys on the next live.